Welcome back to Obscurus Gaming, and today I'm reviewing PlateUp, just recently released to all consoles about a year or so after being a PC-only game. On initial observation, this co-op cooking game looks a lot like Overcooked, and it does share a lot of similarities, but you might be surprised that this is actually a roguelike experience. There are also a ton of terrible Overcooked clones that litter the eShop, and really all other digital console libraries as well, but PlateUp tries to carve its own cooking co-op lane, so stay tuned to find out if it succeeds or not. In PlateUp, you and up to a total of 4 players will be opening your very own restaurant. You get to choose the layout of the building, tables, kitchen, and a ton of unlockables to make your restaurant as efficient as possible. The catch is that if you get a single unhappy customer because they waited too long to be served or seated, you'll be forced to close and have to start over from scratch with a new location and building. The game is played over the course of days, and you'll have to survive the onslaught of hungry customers to advance to the next one. If you do, you can use the money you earn to expand your restaurant with a ton of new features, from additional tables, decorations, appliances, or tools that make your job easier. For example, instead of the initial hand washing sink you have for cleaning plates, you can upgrade it to a power washing sink to save time, or a dishwasher, which if you combine that with a scrubbing brush, you'll spend a lot less time having to clean plates. This concept continues until you fail, or perhaps eventually your little mom and pop pizza shop might become a large-scale operation capable of handling even the busiest of lunch rushes. The gameplay itself is a cross between Overcooked and Diner Dash. As customers arrive at your restaurant, they'll need a place to sit. You'll have to take their order, serve it, and clear the table for the next guest. The difficulty comes with also having to cook their order at the same time, which can be anything from a simple cup of coffee to a more intricate recipe with sides, and that might take a ton of steps. For example, making a pizza involves about 10 or maybe a dozen steps, and yeah, that can be a lot to juggle. You have to grab the dough, knead it, add olive oil, grab tomatoes, chop them twice, spread it, grab cheese, shred it, add to the pizza, place it in the oven, cook it without burning, plate it, and then deliver to the customers at the same time so they don't get unhappy. And that's just one of the beginner recipes. We did find the best system is having a designated chef for the orders, with your partner taking care of the rest, and maybe helping in the kitchen when needed. Just like Overcooked, this involves constant communication in order to succeed. What's not like Overcooked is this is a more traditional environment, meaning the challenge comes from creating an efficient kitchen and meeting demand versus dealing with the crazy over-the-top environments from Overcooked. There's no throwing soup from a hot air balloon over a pool of lava in this game. Besides the gameplay itself, I should stress that this is a roguelike. Once you complete a day, your restaurant receives a bunch of randomly generated blueprints containing potential upgrades. It's up to you to choose what you want to add to your experience. These can be as simple as a better stove, or as complex as adding the right amount of decorations to make your customers more patient. Inevitably, though, you will fail and be taken back to headquarters. Depending on your previous success, you might be able to embark on another run with some of the equipment you unlocked earlier. You will then choose the layout of your restaurant again with the type of primary food you want to focus on. Eventually, you will also unlock daily and weekly challenges, and if you survive for 15 days, you'll be able to franchise your location. Starting from scratch after every run is a very different style from Overcooked, so definitely go in with the mindset of necessary failure and embrace the chaos, and you'll have a ton of fun. Outside of the gameplay, the game has a bit of a minimalistic look, which is fine but also kind of boring. Being able to add decorations and customizations later on, though, is nice, and perhaps this is why they chose the more simple look. One thing you can do in the PC version that you can't do here is name your restaurant. This is a bit of a bummer, and the reasons for not being able to do so make no sense to me. If anyone can shed some light on that in the comments, let me know. I was oddly looking forward to that a ton, so who knows, maybe that can be updated in the future. In terms of technical performance, the game is a bit weird in that each player needs their own profile versus just using guesses of the primary player, and sometimes when moving items around between days, the game temporarily glitches out and the door from your kitchen disappears for a few seconds. Nothing that will ruin your experience, but it could use a little more polish, at least on the console version of the experience. Remember, I played the Xbox version of the game since it was released to Game Pass, so keep that in mind for my final scores. The footage in this review is all from that version. I also want to mention that playing in solo is doable and scaled appropriately, but I still think local or online co-op is the way to go. I personally love the designing aspect to the restaurant, trying to place tables in the optimal spots, which is more fun than it sounds. In the end, PlateUp's enjoyment is significantly greater than the sum of its parts, and as long as the folks you're playing with understand the roguelike style, which might wear thin on more casual gamers expecting an overcooked clone. Still, again, PlateUp is way more fun than the final score might indicate, and I especially recommend it for the local co-op crowd. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll catch you next time.